I would say when I was a player rep, not really knowing it would impact my son, I knew at the time I had 3 boys and the potential to play football. To be honest with you, when you get banged up in football, you don't want your kids to play at that time. And yeah, I mean, whether it was for them or for the betterment of the game, whoever came after us, because I knew the way the system was working at that time in the late 70s and early 80s, that it wasn't a good system for you as a player. You'd get drafted to a team and stuck there. So whether it was free agency or a percentage of the gross or whatever the issues were, benefits, it was bad, and someone needed to step forward and make it better. We knew it was going to be tough for the players, the existing players, but we knew down the road it would be much better for those players as well.
I think one thing for me as a current player, my dad was a player rep and a lot of his friends were player reps, and some guys chose to run from the union when they were playing. And I think one thing my dad has always told me, he said, hey, while you're a player, you have a vote, you have a voice. And if you want to speak up, now's your time to do it. Like, basically speak now or, forever hold your peace. And so I think that's the lesson that I learned from him that I've taken to every locker room that I've been in. It's, hey, if you got a problem or you want to be a problem solver, speak up, because once you're retired, you no longer are a voting member of this group, and you're just hoping that the guys come after you do, basically help you out. But that's one thing that I know that I've learned, because it's easy for me to sit back in the chairs and let somebody else do it and say, hey, I've got a good idea, or keep it to myself. But that's one thing I've learned. And those guys, my dad was a player rep in '82, in the strike in '82, and he was probably a little too vocal, and him and a bunch of other kind of vocal player reps all got traded to the Los Angeles Raiders with Al Davis, and it was kind of a tough thing, but fortunately they won the Super Bowl that year, and so it kind of worked out in the end. But these are lessons that I definitely learned as a young player, that someone's got to step up and do what's right. Someone's got to speak up.
And you know what, there was a lot of tension when we would come to player rep meetings, just because the teams actually taught you to hate each other. Like, you hated the Steelers, you hated, if you were playing in New England, you definitely hated the Jets, you hated the Dolphins. It was like you had this hate relationship. So you'd come to the meeting and look around and like, hey, is that Greg Buttle behind me or Mark Gastineau? Because those are the guys we were actually fighting in those games. I mean, it was, guys would get tossed and things, and I think Greg was a rep at that time, and it was like, hey, no hard feelings, right?
It still happens a little bit, but just a little bit.